Hello, how is everybody doing? Welcome to episode number 17 of Barstool Bitcoin. Say hello to producer Kraser.
What up, you scrawny motherfuckers? Nice to be back on the air with Big Danny Boy. Hope everyone's doing well.
Yep, we're gonna jump right in today. We got a steady sideways market and we got a bunch of current events going on. But first, let's get the picks out of the way for this week, Kraser. Last week we both took similar picks. You picked even, I took the under, just slightly under, and we're pretty much in the same range. So another week null and void. What's your pick for next week?
I'm gonna go with the over next week. I have a feeling that it's gonna start moving up here, boys. I think that's where it's going. That's just my sense. What do you think you're looking at, Danny?
Well, Bitcoin's sitting at 6407 right now on Coinbase. It's a tough one. It's a really sideways market. I still think we have another couple weeks of this sideways movement. There were some bullish indicators early on in the week, but since then they've dwindled and we're kind of ranging still in the bottom 50% of the range. So I'm gonna say slightly under again this week. I think we'll be right around 63.90, 64.10 in that range. But it's possible we get movement to the upside, but not much. We're not gonna go anywhere above 6,700.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just want to clarify that, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's going to go up, but just not a very big amount. So we'll that's my prediction.
We'll touch back on the picks next week. We have an exciting interview again next week as well. But let's jump into the news here, bud. We were talking about Tether last week. Tether finally made some moves, right? They heard what we were saying.
Yeah, I heard they burnt about how much money? 500 million USD about?
Yeah, about like 500 million USDT tokens.
Which is like a little over 50% of what they had, no? If I'm correct?
Yeah, more than 50%, I think. And they needed to do something like that to get the trust back of the community. A lot of people knew what they were doing and that they were inflating, I mean, due to supply and demand, I guess. But once they crashed, they had a little wake up. I'm not sure if they ended up doing the audit or not, but they need to do some serious fiat accounting because the probability that they're going to stick around is going to rely on it.
Do you think that, by making that move, by burning about half, a little bit more, what else do you think they need to do to kind of prove themselves as like maybe a more reliable source and not kind of be on the sketchy, like, I don't know if I should go for that side, to prove to their customers or potential future customers that, hey, we are legit and like we are something that you should invest in?
Well, Tether has a pretty notable history with their conduct and their transparency. People have came out and exposed that and casted a lot of doubt on their claims that they were made, that the company made, that the USDT is backed 1-to-1 with the US dollar. So a lot of people have even said that they covered up a huge deficit of the token with VanEck's, and I mean, both parties have denied that, VanEck's and USDT, but they have a pretty long history, so they're gonna have to do more than just burn token supply to gain the trust back of the USDT.
Yeah, so that's basically one step out of lots and lots of steps if they want to get back to a credible, be credible on the market again. I see.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stable coins coming out, so we're going to see, I mean, just recently there was one that released, and we're going to see how those take over market share from USDT.
So it should be interesting, and well, Tether has some work to do.
Yeah, that's for sure, to say the least.
Lots and lots of work.
Yeah, they're a little shady, but when it comes to companies that have been around in tech for a really long time, we had a big move in crypto actually from Sony, and they developed a hardware wallet and they plan to commercialize it, and they're pretty much a giant when it comes to technology, and I think that this is a huge move by them, and also a big piece of infrastructure for crypto in general, because it seems like they're not just dipping their toe in, they're creating a huge division meant for this, and they've done a lot of R&D, and they created a hardware wallet as their first piece of as their entry into the crypto market. And unlike Trezor or Ledger, which you actually have to connect to your computer or your mobile device, the Sony Wallet actually stores the user's private keys on a contactless card, which gives the users an easier ability to sign in and sign transactions with the technology. So I mean, that's huge. They applied to patent a system that uses blockchain technology for digital rights management as well, and they're unveiling their products soon.
That's actually really cool. So basically, when you want to do transactions, so it's NFC enabled. So if people know what NFC is, it's near field communication. So basically, this is used in a lot of mobile devices already when using such thing as like Apple Pay or Android Pay. So it's very similar to that. So that would be actually really, really cool if you can put that right onto your mobile device wallet. You can have it in there with all your other cards and choose whatever currency you want. And that's already pretty like mainstream now. So if they can really kind of get into that and tap into that, I think that's going to be absolutely huge. And like I said, Sony's been around forever, you know, like I've had Sony TVs, Sony PlayStation, you know, it's a reliable company, and you know that they're not going there, not going anywhere. And so you know that there'll also be something that's secure and something you can trust, you know. So that's actually a really, really good sign. I'm actually really excited to see where that comes, because I'm a user of like mobile payments already. So this would just be another thing to add on, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's great for blockchain technology. They're obviously devoting serious resources to further the spread of blockchain, and they have stated numerous times that they're working towards the commercialization of the wallet itself. So I think they could really eat up some market share off Trezor and Ledger, both of which are not the greatest even, and they're the best in the market, yet they're still not great and too secure. So I mean, this'll be big. Once I would definitely try out this wallet.
Oh, 100%. Like you said, it sounds like, honestly, it sounds like it's going to be more mainstream, more secure. So they probably will take over quite a bit of the market when it does finally release too. So
yeah,
keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and we have some good news, like more people coming into the market. There's the Bitcoin ETF, the VanEck proposal should be, I mean, up soon. It's coming up soon, and hopefully it should be approved. In fact, they went and the executives met with the SEC commissioner and representatives from VanEck and two other companies, SolidX and CBOE, presented 5 reasons why the commission should approve the ETF filing for VanEck and SolidX. And the VanEck is a large company. They're in New York. They have a long track record of providing services in the finance sector, and hundreds of ETFs filed under their name. So they're pretty credible, and they went in their proposal in a nutshell, to sum up, they provided 5 reasons why they should approve the ETF, and those reasons were that there's a regulated derivatives market for Bitcoin, the relevant markets, CBOE, Bitcoin futures, OTC desks are all regulated. That concerns around the price manipulation have been mitigated consistent with approval of prior commodity-based ETPs. I don't really agree with this. I don't think the manipulation of the market has been mitigated. It's still highly manipulated for personal gain of the large whales, but I guess they're pushing that it is more. Has been more mitigation of the risk of price manipulation, but there's still tons of it going on. Then the fourth reason they gave was the CBOE's rules are designed to survey for potential manipulation of trust shares. So that's true. However, we'll see how that plays out. And then the last reason is it promotes investor protection, which it does. So I think there is a possibility it gets approved, but it's more than likely it won't. The SEC's rejected the Winklevoss ETF, and I mean, I just don't see them approving this one, more than likely just because, it's too soon. However, I don't think they can delay it, so that does put some weight on them to that this is a decisive decision, that they can't just delay it again.
So if I were to ask you then, so you're not 100% sure. So what do you think they're missing, or what do you think is stopping SEC from approving this? Because like you said, they've denied a few in the past, but what's it going to take to actually get them there to be like, you know what, okay, let's go on with this, and then see how it goes?
Yeah, I just think they need to be able to show that Bitcoin is not being manipulated as much and that there's protection for the investors. That's the main concern, and without that, it's going to be really tough for them to get it approved. But the more rulings that come out for crypto, the better the chances are of an ETF being accepted, because it's just a matter of time, and we just need somebody to create an infrastructure that will be able to keep investors safe in the long run and make sure that the SEC is happy with how the investors are protected. Because, I mean, the SEC's main concern is protecting the investors, and without that, they will never approve an ETF. There's just no way. And I mean, the US doesn't even know how to tax crypto. They created one piece of legislation in 2016 that basically says all trade, when you move fiat into crypto, it is a loss, and when you cash it, it is a gain, and that's a taxable action. And that when you trade from one cryptocurrency to another, that is also a taxable action. But that's literally all of the legislation they've made, so they don't even know how to tax the thing. So I mean, it's going to be tough for them to approve an ETF before they have any more detailed legislation, I think.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Like, if they're not even sure how they're going to go about it, how are they supposed to approve something on that? So it will be interesting to see that the more cases that kind of go to them, to kind of see what they're going to give as a response, and see how companies react to that, and what they learn, and potentially if they can maybe grow together and figure out something that would be both beneficial for the consumer, right? Because honestly, let's be honest, manipulation will probably always be there. It's been there in pretty much like every sector too. So to me, it's really based on how do you protect the consumer, right? Because like I said, manipulation, you're never going to be able to fully get that out of the way. So I'm interested to see what their response is going to be to this.
Yeah, if you think about it right now, VanEck has definitely the highest chance of getting theirs through. They have filed hundreds of ETFs with the SEC before, so maybe they can find a way to get it through this one, or potentially learn what needs to be done for them to get it through in their next ETF proposal if this one's denied.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, there's always a learning point from everyone. So, but it's moving in a forward direction. At least we can put it that way. It's moving in a positive direction here.
Yeah, I mean that's all we can hope for, and something that's also different this year is the news that's releasing is not affecting the price of Bitcoin whatsoever. We're just stuck in this sideways movement, very little volatility, and there's both good and bad news coming out of different sources.
Yeah, that's true. It's been, like you said, it's been steady for a little while. So good or bad, like you said, I think we talked on past episodes. We had a few people trying to say bad stuff about it, maybe for their own personal gain, but it really hasn't had an effect on it. So I mean, like you said, that could be good and it could be bad. So
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's good. It's a good thing. You would still be up if you purchase Bitcoin 2 years ago. You'd still be have massive profit even if you rode it through 20K back down to 6K. And the end of the year's coming up. We just talked about taxing crypto a little bit. I think it would only make sense to go a little bit into a few tax loopholes, I guess you could call them. They're more so just regulations that you need to be aware of and potentially speak to your accountant about so that you're covered. And I mean, there are some loopholes because there is but very little legislation that's come out about how the IRS is going to be taxing crypto. So I mean, the first and only guidance on how tax principles applied to transactions using crypto was actually in 2014. I think I said 2016 earlier, but it's in 2014. And crypto, when it comes to the IRS looks at crypto as property and not currency. So as for tax purposes. And if you bought some Bitcoin and you did not sell it, you have no gains or losses to report. So it's a non-taxable action. But when you do a coin-to-coin trade, that is a taxable event. So beyond that, there's nothing clear about any tax implications that it has. And they're treating Bitcoin more like a commodity when it comes to accounting. And there's a pretty interesting thing that happened with the Pareto network. Pareto Networks is an investment research platform. They basically offer a subscription to premium level investors, and those people who qualify, they get like a score issued by Pareto, and then the investors can build up their scores by accumulating tokens, these Pareto coins. So when you put money to buy these tokens, it actually qualifies as a business loss, not because it's not seen as a token, but rather it's paying for the expense of the subscription itself. So you can actually deduct all that money and declare it as a loss on your books for your business or for you personally, and you still have your tokens as the assets since you don't need to spend them to access the research platform. So I'm not a tax expert by any means, but this is a pretty interesting way that was kind of just stumbled on, because they through the way they set up their subscription service, they pretty much by accident created a tax deductible asset, which would allow any investor to buy up crypto and create a loss on the books. So that's just one loophole that they found, and there's many others, and you should definitely worth consulting your accountant at this time, as we're nearing the year end, to be prepared this year and potentially take advantage of a legal loophole that would allow you to have less tax deductible income.
That's actually really good for our listeners to know, and that's the more money in your pocket, the better. Right?
Yeah,
so
and
that's how I always look at it.
It's also good to know that if the value of what you're holding, let's say it's Bitcoin or Pareto or whatever, goes up and down, they don't care. It's not important for tax reasons. But if you trade it to another coin, this is something that the IRS will want to know. They actually do want to know. They just don't really have a way of enforcing it yet. But they will want to know this because this is a taxable event. And if you're a trader, then this is very, very, could get very, very complicated. But, crypto investment and taxation, it's all still being explored, and we can only speculate. But it's just as new to investors as it is to CPAs. So, it's something to start looking into and get your accountant as privy as possible with, and hopefully they'll research. Or if it's, could create a large enough dent or liability for you, then it's worth finding someone who specializes in that.
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with big amounts too, you definitely want to find someone who specializes in it and let them work in the field that they know, and you stick to what you know. But those are a couple of little good tricks to keep in mind. Like you said, tax season is right around the corner.
Yep, it definitely is. And we're in Q4 now. We're digging in. The New Year's is around the corner. We'll see how Bitcoin moves. If it does, if we go lower, Coinbase has a pretty notorious short right now that he's just waiting for Bitcoin to hit 5K or lower with. And it's possible, and we could also see that we found the bottom at 6K, and that we're gonna push back up to like 8 or 9K, potentially 7K. But there's no doubt that the volume of people coming into crypto is still going up. CNBC's crypto trader, he's a host on CNBC's crypto trader, Ran Nooner. He's pretty much a giant creator in this market, has created some pretty big giants who did ICOs and who have investment funds. And he claimed with a tweet that Coinbase is going to announce its IPO today on Friday, the 26th of October. He just basically stated in a tweet that they're going to reveal their plans for an IPO live on the Crypto Trader show. So, Coinbase is massive. They have 25 million accounts. They have 7 million accounts with fiat in crypto. They have 600,000 people actively trading on their platform, which is massive. I think it makes them one of the top 5 for sure. And an IPO would be really big. It would be another way to securitize a crypto company, and I would definitely invest in their shares.
Yeah, I was taking a look here too, and it says basically California-based crypto exchange has seen 90 million in revenue last quarter, with the expectation of about 450 million in the last quarter of this year. So that's a pretty big increase on that. Yeah,
that's an expectation. I don't think they're going to get that. They're probably basing that on last year. And last year was a bit of an anomaly. We're not going to get a bull run the same as last year. They're not going to get that much volume, but they still continue to rack up revenue. 80% of their revenue came from consumers, so that's huge. That means the general average person, not accredited investors, are going to them and providing 80% of their revenue. Only 15% came from institutional accounts, and that's good. The more people that come into crypto, the more Americans that create Coinbase accounts. They are benefiting from a legitimate entity that can be publicly traded. Their shares can be publicly traded on the stock exchange.
Yeah, that's great for the consumer-based market, and that's a nice number to see, like you said too. So it's a lot of people, even on the trust factor, 80%. That's quite a bit. So it's good to see.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here recording this podcast from California, just outside San Francisco, and I took an Air Canada flight to SFO, and as a proud Canadian, There's been so much good news coming out of Canada recently with crypto, and not to mention legalizing marijuana commercially. But with crypto, they have really been creating an environment where people feel comfortable working on things, and Air Canada, things and projects, exciting developments in blockchain in Canada, and they incentivize it. And Air Canada, which is the biggest airline in Canada, announced that it's going to be creating or participating in a blockchain based travel distribution platform that was developed by a Swiss blockchain startup. So they released this, and they did a press release a couple days ago. And Air Canada has been around for a long time, and it says a lot that they signed a letter of intent to participate in a decentralized open source travel platform that works and is powered by the blockchain. I mean, that is just another example that mainstream adoption is coming, the technology is growing, and more companies that have been around a long time are seeing that they have to get in front of the curve, in this development, this boom that is happening with blockchain technology.
Yeah, that's actually really, really awesome. Yeah, just so like you guys can see, like we've already talked about Sony hopping in. Now we're talking about a huge Sony trying to create a wallet, and then you have Air Canada hopping in. So it's the companies are coming out, and they're buying into it. So
yeah, I mean, Air France, KLM, they're jumping into. It's another airline that's not in Canada, but I mean, huge airline, KLM and Air France. And in August, there was the Brisbane Airport Corporation partnered with Travel by Bit. So the Australian corporation partnered with Travel by Bit, which is a digital currency payments platform, and they're trying to launch the world's first digital currency friendly airport. So, I mean, wow. A blockchain backed point of sale system everywhere, and I mean, that would be massive. So it's developing, it's slowly coming along.
Yeah, and speaking about Canada, isn't there something about Kevin OLeary out there right now too?
Yeah, OLeary, he invested $100K into a Bitcoin investing app. It's kind of like it's one of those apps that takes your spare change and converts it into Bitcoin. And he was rejected by all of the other investors. They all were out, and Kevin OLeary pretty much threw him a lifeline, and he was asking for $100K for a 10% stake in his company, and Kevin OLeary offered him the $100K for 50% stake, which pretty much cut his valuation by more than 50%. He ended up taking the deal because he needed a shark to get on board. So now he's got that buzz marketing he needs. We'll see if it takes off. Bundle, they're saying, is the name of the app, and I mean, you can it basically costs $3 per month, the app, and that's like $24 for the year. And you connect it to your credit card or whatever your chosen payment method is, and slowly it buys Bitcoin for you, and slowly grows your Bitcoin balance. And if you're cash strapped, this is a good choice for you. I mean, I don't know, they have to do a lot of volume to really make it worth it. I wonder what their actual business model is, if all $3 every month is going toward crypto for the people, or if they're taking a margin in there, if only $2 are in crypto, who knows. So I don't know. I mean, Kevin OLeary is we were just on his lake this last summer, on the lake at the cottage. We were wondering where OLeary was at. True.
Yeah, I think we might have asked a couple of times, where's OLeary out there? But a side note, actually, a fun fact, I actually met Kevin OLeary a couple times.
Was he?
Yeah, so when I was living in Toronto, I worked worked at a tech company, and he would be in there quite often. So I had the chance to talk to him a few times, and he's exactly what you think he is, and he's pretty much the same as on TV. And he's kind of a douchebag, not gonna lie, but he is one smart guy. So if he sees something as an investment, you know what? Like, I might take a look at the app, kind of go on the app store, see what it is, and take a quick look. But yeah, Kevin, and he's just as short as he is on TV too. He's a really tiny guy with an attitude.
Yeah, well, he plays his character pretty well. I guess it's not even a character. That's really just him. I've never met him.
It's exactly, that's who he is. It's not a character. He's not playing a game. That's him. Like, I've seen him in person. That's it. What you see is what you get with him.
Well, he's a big investor, and yeah, a little sidebar there. Appreciate that one, Kraser.
Not a big deal, you know. Not a big deal. Met Kevin OLeary.
How you doing? But the stock market plunged just recently, so that's not great for investors, but it was due, I think. And the good news for us boys in crypto is it had no impact on the market. Again, sideways movement. So I think that's a huge plus for crypto, and it proved that it's not so much a catalyst for the price of Bitcoin and the current cryptocurrency as a whole.
That is true. It's like you said, another thing that happened, and it didn't affect it. So.
Yeah, there's not really a clear trend or correlation between crypto and the stock market. So we'll see if the struggle of global finance leads to a positive price movement in crypto market one day. That would be great. I mean, in the upcoming years, that could be a big possibility as the crypto sector becomes more appealing to institutional investors, and digital assets could potentially become a viable alternative to gold. Like, gold is the original Bitcoin. I mean, it's the original kind of Ponzi scheme that people say it's worth something, and that's why it's worth what it is. It's all speculation. It's just store of value, and that's Bitcoin is just a better gold, in my opinion. I mean, they do use gold to create certain things, but largely the world supply of gold is controlled by investors, not people functionally using it.
Yeah, so you can basically call Bitcoin the virtual gold that is out there right now.
A lot of people have been saying that for a long time. But Kraser, I gotta run to jiu-jitsu here, so you want to close it out? Do you have any last words for the boys?
Yeah, I'd like to just say thanks to our listeners. We appreciate all your support. Still looking for some comments. If you got a little bit of chirps here and there too, love to hear them, because I'd love to chirp you back. But we appreciate all your listens, and keep on listening, because we got some good stuff coming down the pipeline, and we're gonna have some, like Dan said before at the beginning, tune in next week to find out who we have on an interview.
Thank you, boys, for listening. We'll see you next week.